It does also ruin the mood a bit to go, and then we're back to Happy Cat Town and we're continuing the blacksmith quest. He said if you stop by my shop I can make you an axe, and then you walk in and he says I can't make you an axe, you have to go gather a bunch of crafting materials for me from going south into this. Are we not going back to the human world now and immediately doing the thing we were just told to do to go and help Winston? We're instead continuing on more side quests here. The game hasn't given me any idea of a way I can manually choose to go back to the human world wherever I want, so I guess I do have to just keep continuing. It's just really weird pacing. That felt like that should have been the end. I'm gonna have to get a drink because I've been recording for quite a while. I looked up on how long to beat and it says the whole game is 10 hours. I'm almost at 5 hours now, and I'm at what the guide says is part 1 friendship or something, and this we haven't even got there. It's like prologue, hospital, prologue, Morizora's forest, first visit. And we haven't really got to the game yet. How are people completing this faster? Like, is it just if you know what to do and you're not talking about, you're not thinking about the puzzles, you can skip through real fast? Or is it like after this point, every subsequent section is really fast and it's only a long introduction? I don't know. I promised I wouldn't judge the game until I finished the first magical section. You would think games about retreating into a fantasy world to cope with depression would try and make them investing or emotional in some way. You'd think that would be step 1 to making that story. I'm already fatigued just getting through it. It's weird how playing a really long time of a game that's actually fun can, like, you're refreshed and full of energy, you never feel like you want to stop. But playing, like, a relatively short time, like 3 hours, of a game that's just mind-numbingly boring is like, oh god, I've lost all my energy, I never want to play video games again. But anyway, I'm going to take a brief break to say, here's my ideas of, like, what I would have done for this section. Like, first of all, I've already said about how I would change the pacing to, like, foreshadow the magical elements earlier on, and I would have been like, immediately we go in, immediately we get the idea of this place is emotionally representing things from real life and you're going to have a real effect on it. This section is just dedicated now entirely to Sue. You land in a magical village of some kind of people that are actually entertaining or investing in any way. They all have personalities, they're all as fun as the NPCs in the hospital. They don't have to actually be the NPCs in the hospital, just one of them is, and it's Sue. We focus on Sue. The first adventure is, instead of just you go to a cave to get some tools to move some bamboo for no particular reason, the actual design of a dungeon is based in some way around the plot we're doing, which is an emotional exploration. We don't have to solve all Sue's problems immediately. Like, the fact that she is your closest friend, the first friend you've met already, it makes sense for her to be the tutorial one. We'll address one problem she has and later on she can have a full dungeon or something. It would make sense for her to have 2 compared to everybody else if she's more important. Or it could be, here's the magical representation of the mum or something. Like, instead of journeying around with the mum, there's a magical, strong wizard we have to find who's the mum because the son loves the mum so much. In his mind, she's a big hero. And then for the rest of the game, you party up with a big hero magic mum. But either of those ways, you go in, you have some kind of dungeon that in some way symbolises the troubles there. It starts off all funny and happy and escapism. We see NPCs that are representing little problems rather than them representing nothing and just being jokes about demographics. The boys' imaginations of the guy who fixes the vending machine in the hospital or something, like, oh, it's scary that he has a loud screwdriver, so he becomes a monster who makes loud noises, and oh, that's troubling the people in the town who are like, what is that ominous scary noise from the dungeon? And you go into the dungeon and you find it's just a little guy doing repairs, and then you go back and tell him, oh, he's not as scary as he seems, and it's like, that's a progression that the boy has made in real life, is realising that he was having an irrational fear. Little things like that. Or it could even be just minor stuff like, you have to get through this dungeon by removing emotional barriers, like there's a rock in the way, but the rock is a person and the rock is sad and we have to talk to the rock to convince the rock to move. You could just do it, you could just make metaphors, you can do it, no one is stopping you, game. And by going through this dungeon, maybe Sue is your party member and you can talk to her with Q instead of your mum and you have bonding moments. You go through that, you've resolved some small problem, maybe like Sue is nervous about trying to send a letter to her friend who she hasn't seen in a while and she's wondering why her friend never sees her, and the boy is like naive and it's like, I'm sure maybe your friend doesn't know where you are in hospital, maybe your friend, if you just asked her, she'd come and visit, and then you help Sue work up the courage to send a letter, and that's the small resolution, and later on we have a full resolution of finding out what really happened and why the friend isn't here. Like, if the friend herself is dead or something, or if the friend has moved away, or if the friend doesn't actually want to see her in hospital and she isn't friends anymore, Sue faces a secondary, difficult, sad thing, and we explore a second dungeon later on. But this early on, the things in the intro should have a purpose, right? They should be establishing things about the game going forward. Like, the entirety of going around this magical world just felt like nothing I'm doing is affecting anything. So we could make the magical world be establishing more things about Sue, establishing that these two worlds are linked and things you'll do in one of them, instead of just having a guy say that. Yeah, anyway, that was my suggestion, we could do that. And also, it would end here, like, right after the guy says, your quest is to go back and help the other guy in the hospital, we would do that, instead of going here to gather materials for an axe. Anyway, I have to now go do that. It's mildly annoying when we're going through here. There's various options you can click on to gather, but it doesn't say what you gathered or picked up when you do it. You have a little animation of picking it up, and then that's it. There's no text box. Also, these little things, these little glowing things, they get in your way and you can't walk through them. Apparently it's because later on I'll be able to gather them, because whenever you try and click to get through them, the moment just says, you can't gather that yet, you have to do another quest. But it just means like, they walk in your way and you can't get through, and it's really annoying. Couldn't you just set them to like pass through, but you can still press the action button to interact with them? Like, that's also a thing you could just do by default in RPG Maker. Mildly interesting lore, oh my god. Any information about this world except just, haha, pigs aren't pigs and cats aren't cats. These bird things, they're all created, there are only a small amount of them, and their names are all numbers because that's the order they were created by whatever being creates them. That's interesting. So I guess they're like, I would say they're like envoys, but envoys in this world means the corrupted dark spirits. So they're like messengers from the gods who were created by the gods, maybe. Maybe? They're cute, they're fun, yay. Onions don't have a walk sprite, and yet they made it walk. Is that also an oversight? Like, did they accidentally set this one on the wrong route path? Yeah, I have no clue when I've gathered enough stuff, because I don't know what I'm clicking on and gathering. I guess I just have to click on every possible gather point I can find. I was just thinking it would be a great idea. What if, like, not even just there's one character that symbolizes one person, the real? What if every village symbolized a real person? Like, the reason Level Village, all the people have very simple personalities, they all represent one personality trait split off from the main real person, their soul, and like by helping all the individual parts of them you can like bring peace to different parts of their psyche or something. That could be cool. We have another kind of weird, really adult jokes. We had a joke of like, oh, the pressures of corporate life from one random plant who had no reason to be saying that. We had jokes about rap music being weird. We've had jokes about drugs, and like now we have a joke about the minimalism trend. I guess that meant when this game came out, were they doing the Marie Kondo thing? Was that trending at the time? Yes, it was 2014, and this game did come out in 2017, but was planned for 2014. So presumably this joke was made early in development. And then it goes back into another meta joke of like, oh, by the way, don't feel badly you're stealing things from my treasure chest because I want to get them in anyway. See, that would, in concept, be a good joke if it was delivered in a way that wasn't just, I am going to flatly explain the joke through many, many text boxes. If a joke had just been you walk in and you take the treasure chest and only then the guy talks and it's like, oh, don't worry about that, I'm a minimalist, I want to get rid of that anyway. You could have resolved it in like one text box. Also, I want to comment just being a bit like, so far every single treasure chest you've come across has given nothing but G. Was the money still G when I was in the hospital? I feel like it was. Treasure chests only give money, but there's been no shops, nothing to spend money on so far. It's weird to go through an entire first tutorial dungeon place with the only reward you ever get are money and you can't use any of it yet. Imagine if you were like in Final Fantasy VII or something, like the whole first Midgar reactor dungeon, you would constantly be getting equips but you can't equip items yet. That would be strange. Oh, hey, maybe it potentially, if I can give credit, maybe it's like foreshadowing, like that would be a way to know if the magical things are really happening or if it is just a metaphor for telling a story to your kid. If we go back to the real world, if we still have all that money in our pockets, then maybe it was real. Nothing so far has been that smart, so would it suddenly change? Okay, even though we've been repeatedly told over and over and over that the tools only cut bamboo, it says they don't actually only cut bamboo, you can also cut any wooden object, including this door, which really looks like it's part of the background and would not in any way animate. Again, I do like how well the game animates doors, just doors in particular are much more animated. I want to see if it's a cool animation for the planks being broke. Okay, instead we had a bad animation, like why did you stand sideways and not hit it in any way? Anyway, okay, that's something we can have. So that would also, I'd say that's good and that's also bad because I just said the thing that would be a clue if the magic world is real, and instead you've given me a whole new different clue that will prove the magic world is real, because if we can take the marble and we can give it to Sue, we'll know that we can actually do things here that will affect the real world. It's still a good idea, but to just flatly give it to you right here, rather than using what I thought was a nice subtle foreshadowing. Anyway, I have no idea where I need to go next. I'll just go around and I'll cut every piece of bamboo and wood until I find what I need. Did chop some bamboo and went to the left, and we now get more of Sue's story? Are we actually going to get progress on this now? And also it's weird how her sprite is now fully transparent. Like, that was a noticeable thing. Like, only the hat seemed transparent and the rest of the body was solid from the clothes down. Is it somehow really poorly scaling on like a dark background? Okay, we're not progressing the plot. This is like an optional scene. Like, we can't move forward to go see her. Only she can jump over waterfalls, I guess. And all you can do is talk to her and she just has the same, here's free dialogue options and we learn some more knowledge about her. So I guess it's not the way to progress. How do we progress and how do we finally get back home? It's like a recurring thing, like the final puzzle of every section is like suddenly really confusing and giving you no direction on what to do. In a strangely specific way, like I know what I should do but not where to go to do it. Like I know I have to go back to the hospital, but how do I do that? And before, like I knew I had to find a mirror, but why is only one of the million different bathrooms have a mirror in it? I just had a thought, like, what if we're just supposed to backtrack to where we first came in? You know, the place where we came in through the door, and then specifically after we came in through the door, all the NPCs said, what, there's no door there? And I kind of took that as like, okay, does the door not work to make us go back? So we kind of just went into a void and the void turned into here and we were there. I didn't get the impression you were allowed to walk back through the void. If that's going to be it, I'm going to be mad. It was it. And it was. It was going to take a while to get there because I thought this was so implausible, I just kept walking around. Oh, okay, mysterious place inside. If you click on the well, you can go inside the well. I didn't realise that. Very annoying puzzle here because you can only jump between certain rocks, but there is no indication whatsoever which ones you can jump between. I've clicked, like some of them are right together, I can jump through. Some that are far apart, I can jump through. And some I just can't, I don't know how this works. I'll pause and I'll come back. The answer was that you can jump between ones that are 1 apart, you can jump between ones that are 2 apart, you can't jump between ones that are 3 apart. There's nothing really that it makes sense why it would be that way, but that's the way it is, and at least I was left to figure it out on my own. At least I can give them credit for that. And all you get in the treasure chest is again 10 gold. Okay, I guess we're not going, I guess we are just rolling into another, like, if you just happen to go and bump and talk into the grandpa, he says, now we're starting a new side quest, we're all preparing for the village festival, go around and talk to every other NPC and they'll give you different side quests for the village festival. I genuinely, was I supposed to have already gone back to the hospital and done something now, or are we really just, like, we're just gonna keep staying here and doing another arc? Backtracking through the cave, doing this bamboo. The first treasure chest in the game, which has something which isn't gold, it's a doll. Can we hug the doll? Can we, like, decorate a room with dolls? That would be nice. It's grape scented too! Okay, that's weird. So you can select it and it acts as if it does something, but it didn't. I guess maybe that's for a side quest later? These items actually do something. There's like a patient's lounge which unlocks later in the game and you can display all your collectibles there. And you can decorate a little room to make it happy for the other patients. I think that's what the side quest is over towel adventure group people. Big thanks for this screenshot in Really Queer Christmas's screenshot Let's Play on letsplayarchive.org. This is what it looks like with every single collectible available in the game, and it's very adorable and heartwarming. I like that. I would not have the patience to dedicate this much work into a game I wasn't enjoying, so I'm glad we got this here from someone who did enjoy it. I love the idea of a watermelon beanbag chair. That's really cute. I accidentally stepped on one rad shroom, the good mushrooms, while backtracking, and I feel really sad. But it seems if you do that, it doesn't like unlock the good mushroom shop or anything. They just kind of don't care. And the last bamboo thing was a secret frog room. I found a Glenn the Frog. Can I find the grammar? If the game does end with, oh, by the way, it was all just a metaphor, it was all just a story, it's going to be a big plot hole that we can carry our inventory between worlds. And that is everything, and now we have to boringly, slowly backtrack all the way out again. Yeah, I've done everything I can seem to do. I think I can catch those fireflies now. I got a jar, maybe that's... Okay, there's nothing I can do. It said we need fireflies and also reeds, and also we need to move the rocks, but we can't get any more materials to move the rocks. You have to save up to get a pickaxe to move the rocks, but... So I guess we do have to go back to the hospital, and then we'll be able to progress more in here later after we do something. Really unintuitive. Like, I've been trying to get to the hospital the whole time. All I can say is, like, maybe the cutscene when we came in was not meant to indicate, like, you can't return through that door like I thought. Maybe it was meant to be just the door does still work, but nobody else except us can see the door and the door is still there. Could I have gone back the whole time through that boring, annoying dungeon and done more interesting stuff and then come back? That would have been a lot more enjoyable. It's weird how they over-tutorialize some stuff and not others. Like, if they could have just had Mum say, like, oh, stop at some point in the dungeon, like, oh, are you exhausted? We can go back if you need to, or something. Is that it? Okay, that's it. Well, thanks for fucking nothing, I guess. Oh, okay, interesting. So now we can break down these doors to get into new passageways in the hospital. See, now I'm getting a little interested. I might continue playing because I am interested in the hospital. Oh, it's just some more treasure chests. See, it's weird that the real world even has treasure chests, but hey, we found another marble to give to Sue. So I guess it's more reason to prove that the magical stuff is real. We still have gold as a currency, we still have treasure chests in the real world. This is a really muddied setting. Like, you really would expect that the point of a story would be he's regressing into a fantasy escapism to deal with his problems, but he's just not. It's just, by sheer coincidence, a guy is sick in a hospital and also magic exists. And, like, legit, like, yeah, the whole reason we went into the magical world was, like, the homeless man went through that door and he left us a letter saying to come there, and we go into the magical world and we saw the homeless man in the first few seconds, and then we were just like, oh yeah, okay, we'll follow your advice and go to this random cave. No one acted surprised. The mum wasn't surprised that we're friends with a random homeless man and didn't ask any questions like how do we meet him and what's going on and how does he also manage to get in the magical world. And we forgot that was the whole reason we went in there and we just did this side quest instead. And now we're back again and I guess he's still in the magical world doing whatever. Oh, thank God, fucking God. Like, what a breath of fresh air to get back in the sad hospital. And yeah, now Winston thought it was going to happen. Okay, I'll tell you guys if this is interesting. I'm probably going to have to stop. Like, I don't feel interested enough to keep playing the rest of the game. Like, I know I'm going to have fun in the hospital sections bonding with everyone. I'm probably going to wander around enough just to see a little bit more of them because I care about all these people. But to be frank, I don't care enough to endure through how shitty that gameplay experience it was again and again and again. I think it was longer than what we spent in the hospital in the first place. Again, the most of the time I spent in the hospital was doing the puzzles for the homeless man and not actually continuing a side quest. I've forgotten which side quest I had that I didn't resolve here. It was something about getting someone a coffee. I was more interested in that. Did they really think people would care more about radical wrapping mushrooms? Okay, we finally get an answer to that mystery about the wife missing I didn't even piece together that it was meant to be her. I thought it was like someone else's wife earlier because I think we got the information given to that before we ever met Winston. But yeah, that makes sense why it's weird and noticeable that the wife isn't wearing the wedding band because she's comatose, she can't take it off. So it's like someone in the hospital has stolen jewelry from a dying comatose woman. Mid-sentence I realised it's probably the homeless man, isn't it? If he has stolen jewelry from a comatose woman who may be on the verge of death, right in front of her grieving husband, I fucking hate him. Like, seriously, you could be stealing from anyone else and I'd be less. Why did you have to specifically come to a hospital full of sick people? Like, it's one of the only places you could find people who are suffering more than you. Oh, okay, that's a bit of a letdown. Everyone around the hospital only has one new line of dialogue and the rest is just the same dialogue. I talked to a mohawk lady and she was just like, did you know I found some spare change? And then the rest was all just the same text options as before. A funny doctor guy was like, did you know a teaspoonful of a neutron or something weighs more than a star? And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I don't know what that means in science, but hooray. Okay, one thing that kind of made me laugh with awkward writing is for some reason Winston is like, have you heard about the thief? He or she has stolen things again. That's just so clunky. Does anyone else really hate that? Like that brief moment we had, like, oh, it's grammatically correct to say he or she instead of they. It's weird how nowadays people are like, oh, singular they is grammatically incorrect. Like, we used to use that not a long amount of time ago, and then there was a push to change it to be gender inclusive by saying he or she. And there was a whole, like, a period before that it was like, oh, you should only say he to talk about an unknown person of unknown gender, like man is the default. And it's like, and then you go back like several hundreds of years and they were just using they as singular, and you go back thousands of years and like the very start of Old English didn't have gendered pronouns at all. And it's kind of funny how fast we forget these things, and also it's just weird whenever people like try and impose these things like to be inclusive while not actually asking the people who it would be inclusive of. Nobody enjoyed saying he or she every single time you mentioned a pronoun, and like no trans people ever asked you to do that. And it's like people are like, you should say differently abled instead of disabled, and no disabled people ever asked you to do that. It's weird when people in the majority make up their own idea of what the minority would want and they like impose it as a politeness rule. Quite often when the minority just tries to talk about themselves normally and they get told, oh, that's not right, that's not polite. And it's very strange. So many times I've had like, you shouldn't say you're an autistic person, you should say you're a person with autism, because I, the person who doesn't have autism, think that you're somehow degrading yourself by saying you're autistic, and like you should say you just have autism. It's like, I mean, I guess in the most literal sense I have autism, but I wouldn't say like it's just a thing I can put in a bag and put away or something. It's like saying, yeah, I have teeth, I have feet, it's a part of my body, like I have a brain, but you wouldn't say a person with a brain, you'd say my brain. Like, yeah, my autism. It's just strange. That just inspired me on a nice little tangent to ramble about, so I'm like, hey, a random other interesting topic, because I have so little left to say about the game. Okay, back to the game being the game. Even though we just had a mandatory cutscene that could not be skipped, we walk into the room saying that Winston's wife's wedding band was stolen. When we walk into his room and we try and ask for more information about the theft, we also just get told as if we didn't know it already happened. Like, the boy asks what was stolen, like, you were there, I don't know, were parts written by different people and they didn't check? Is that the same reason we had that 2 and 3 switch error before? Okay, that's also unintuitive. She says, oh, this is Cat Planet, it's about the cat fantasy world. So I thought that when you give her the marbles, you'll unlock more fantasy worlds. And I was thinking, oh, that's weird, we gave her the snow marble, then we went to a cat world. And now she's saying this marble we found in the cat world represents the cat world. So again, really weird missed opportunity. That would have been a great intuitive way to unlock the new magical fantasy levels. Oh yay, and the optional marble we got from one of the bamboo. She says, that's the gateway to the topsy-turvy treehouse tea house, which is made from the amber of a magical tree where flower creatures go and serve you tea. That's really cute. I love these bonding scenes of our little friend. What's extra fun? It's literally topsy-turvy. You stand on the ceiling and your tea doesn't fall down. That's fun. And the first actual mention by her in the hospital world of talking about missing her friend. And then you break down another door and you find out, yes, indeed, the homeless man is stealing from a fucking dying comatose woman the memento of her marriage while her husband cries over her body. Generally, why are we giving any sympathy to this dude? He's a horrible prick. Like, Jesus Christ. There is no justification, no, like, oh, he's only stealing from the rich to give to the poor or anything. No, like, he only takes what he needs. He lied to us before saying, oh, I didn't steal your books, I wanted to rip the silver off and sell it. And since the mum is there not reacting in any way to seeing this thieving guy. Oh, and wait a second, are we gonna run after? That's another magic door. Are we gonna run into the magical world chasing after him a second time? And like, why didn't we continue chasing after him the first time? Why are we like, let's chase after him, we see him, we do nothing at all about that, and we just forget he exists for a whole cave dungeon, and now immediately right after, then he does something bad again and we have to chase him again. So we spent less than 5 minutes in the hospital, and literally all we did was walk into Winston's room and talk to him. There was no new options for anybody else. All we could do was give some more marbles to Sue, who was directly in the same room next to Winston. And now we're back immediately in the shitty fantasy world I hate. Yeah, this is where I missed an optional side quest, the continuation of one of the side quests from before. I was expected to just remember. I had to go to the vending machine and buy the coffee, and then and only then would the grandpa actually change dialogue. So everything would seemingly have no changes unless I remembered what I had to do. But that quest was not in the quest list menu when you press the ESC button. So I was just expected like to be bombarded by all this information, this incredibly long fantasy section, and then just remember on my own exactly which person wanted the coffee, and to go and do it before I walked into the room with the guy that they say the plot is about, because when I did I was then locked into the plot. I don't think this is just my bad memory at fault here. I think that's genuinely really unintuitive. If this is going to be how it lays out its like priorities, if we really get that little of the actual interesting plot in between, I'm really not going to enjoy this. And we finally met Toby the bear. He's not an interesting, unique design that in any way matches Toby the grandpa. He's just a generic bear stripe. Okay, he is in his portrait. I should have remembered this game has no continuity between his portraits and sprites. I like that. He looks like a kind of Don Bluethy, but anyway. Also glad he's not actually a real evil bear in this universe, he's just misunderstood, just like in the real world. I like you, Grandpa. I believe in you, Grandpa. It's a shame everyone believes the worst of you, Grandpa. Especially when they're the actual evil Grandpa directly next to you in that fucking tent. Oh, and come the fuck on. He's the focus of this chapter, and he doesn't get a unique sprite either. He again just gets to be this stupid cat wearing a different stupid hat. And he's a boatsmith. And again, no correlation to anything about him in the real world. He can't make boats anymore because he's so sad because his wife is in a coma. So we just have to solve the same problem twice in both worlds, I guess. It would actually be kind of sad if in the fantasy world we can solve things and make his wife get better, but in the real world she can't. That would be, just throwing out there, a good idea for this second chapter. Like, in the idealized world we can make it all better. In the real world all we can do is comfort Winston through what's happening and, you know, find justice for the stuff that was stolen from him. Do I even need to say it? But no, of course they don't do that. Magical world is real, and you can get any wish granted by the magical god, but you can't grant a wish to become not sick in the real world. That's the one thing the magic just can't do, and that's the whole story hinges on that being the one thing the magic can't do. Okay, if the comatose wife's monster form is here, I'm gonna throw out a potential possibility to make this character less horribly evil in every way. Maybe he was thinking, like, if I take her belongings from the real world and bring them to her in her spirit form, I can help heal her soul and make her come back to life in the real world. If it's going to be framed as, that's the reason why he's stealing, he's returning the belongings to the same person, but their spirit version, so they think he's stealing it from them because they don't remember being a spirit in the magical world, I really hope you will do that, because otherwise, why the fuck is this guy in the plot? I hate him. What is wrong with you exactly? Okay, please explain exactly what I just said. Okay, thank you. It's annoying it took this long to get to why should I give a fuck about this really blatantly evil man who gave no signs he wasn't evil for a really long time. And I was mad about it because he has such a cool and adorable design. I wanted to like him. So, please say that every other time he's stolen from the hospital is also justified. I mean, no, it also said he was stealing food, but it said he was stealing food, and then it said you were eating rotten fish heads, even though you had a bunch of perfectly good bento boxes that you stolen next to you. So, maybe he's stealing food to give to the people in the magical world, he doesn't eat it himself. Please, I would really like you to justify Grandpa. That would make it worth me playing so long of this boring as fuck game to finally get the reveal that Grandpa is not evil all along. I would really like that. Okay, I like that the boy at least is getting genuinely angry like I was. Like, oh, I trusted you the first time you said you weren't doing a bad thing. Which is weird. I don't know why he did. It felt like, even for how naive a child was, that was a bit silly. And also, again, the fact the mum is here the whole time and she has no... She's literally pointing the opposite direction. Like, why did they make a mechanic of the mum following us the whole time if she wasn't ever going to interact with a single NPC? I will amend this. Born in editing, she did briefly interact with a terrible bard pun people to go, I get the pun! Let's explain the fucking pun again! So, I wish she would interact with the story important NPCs and give her opinion on the story. At least now we're getting it. We're getting a bit of an arc. We're having the reason why he trusted him so much, so now we can get mad and not believe him when he actually is telling the truth. That's cool, thank you. Also, at least one personality trait established for the boy. He gets mad at injustice when he's being forced. Also, the thing I said before, it may be potentially possible actually that he does in fact wear a hat because he doesn't have any hair because this illness he's going through might require chemotherapy. Because I thought he just had brown hair, but it might be the harsh shading on the portraits. Apparently it's a twist that he's bald under the hat. Again, is that not a thing everyone would have assumed from the start? Like, I assumed, and then I thought, oh, it must not be true because, like, we're not commenting on it and we haven't seen it. Like, it looks like he's got hair under the hat, but it might just be shading. And I guess it is. And I guess they're concealing it from that, but I'm not sure why you want to make it a twist, because, like, he's a kid and he's sick and he's in a hospital, and it's very, very likely that the writer is going to pick cancer as the disease he has, because that's, like, the most severe disease you can have. It's very common for the majority of things about someone dying in a hospital to be that specific disease. So yeah, I feel the game really does have a problem with not getting what needs to be explained and what is really blatantly obvious, and like getting it the opposite way around. Okay, kind of validating actually. TV Tropes also agrees it's a really obvious reveal. Also, just briefly tangent off, it's a little bit weird if it is specifically cancer, that he's so like athletic and after he's already gone through chemotherapy. I've got a friend who's been through cancer, and that shit wipes you out. He was incredibly sick. You never see the kid is sick at all in all these hours of gameplay we played. You never get a sense of how it's affecting him in any way. It would have been really effective if like he was very tired when he's in the human world. Like maybe he walks really slowly, maybe he can only visit a certain amount of people, do a certain amount of side quests before he has to sleep for the day, and that could be the justification for why it's cut off instead of random homeless man. And then in the magical world he can run faster and be athletic and do fun crazy adventures, and it like metaphorically represents how he's feeling happier going into escapism. If the magical world wasn't actually real and it was actually a metaphor for escapism, I still don't understand why they made that choice. But yeah, back to what I was already saying. Okay, he said we need to open the box and give something to Winston, but we can't open the box and says we don't have the key. So do we have to do another fucking side quest here to open the box and the key? Can we actually follow him from here and continue stuff? Winston's at you. Okay, so it is like her soul is like trying to reach out from the monster world, needs helping by giving the ring. Okay, I'm not sure why she has like tribal type markings. Like and she's wearing like is that like a Korean hanbok? I'm just gonna throw it out here. I did actually go and check, and this is generally meant to be an actual plot. She is indeed a Korean woman, and this is meant to be an actual story of the fantasy racism in this world. The Kanko and the Ilbo Libel tribes like don't like each other, and it represents how Winston's a Japanese man, Gemma is a Korean woman, and they had trouble getting married because of that. I probably wouldn't have guessed any of that because their names don't match either ethnicity. It's strange because there are people with Japanese names in the hospital, it's just not them. And I do find it a bit of a strange choice to represent it by having them be different races in the fantasy world, like a stereotypically indigenous tribal looking person with markings like that. I can appreciate what they were going for. I just feel like it could have been better conveyed. But I do like the subtlety of her wearing a Korean hanbok. Couldn't they have just like made her like a traditional Korean type of monster, and that could have like it could have fully been a metaphor for that? They didn't have to go like stereotypical other race person rather than the race she actually is. I don't know. I feel like could have been choices made here. I had to add this in editing. Winston is the one who's meant to be Korean. Winston. But why was she the one wearing a Korean outfit? And sorry, the Let's Play is a bit where he's like, his Libel version is like, here in our village we grow the Hikari Bona, and like they're using Japanese terms and he's meant to be the Korean animal. Is his Libel version Japanese and her Libel version is Korean, but in the real world he's Korean and she's Japanese? There's so many levels of confusion with this metaphor. Maybe just the writers forgot which one of them they made which race, because again, why did neither of them have names from either of those countries? But the Let's Play said, the dialogue says that Winston is the one who came from Korea, and then he's the one speaking Japanese, and I don't know. Okay, so you're like a ghost? Is it just meant to be like the markings of a ghost that in this world that's how it works or something? I would have expected you to be translucent or to like have changed colour to blue or something. Okay, I guess you can be solid and then not solid again. I don't know why I'm thinking about the logic of this game. Okay, I failed. There's been no timed events whatsoever in the game up until now, and I failed a timed event. Like, have I fucked the game up forever? Have I, like, doomed her? I didn't even notice that the time was going up. I didn't know where I had to go. That's really rigid, actually. Like, 3 seconds to walk over here. Actually, I'm gonna time it. 1, 2, 3... I think I couldn't have made that. Like, obviously that's me trying to count in my head. I might have gone off for a second. I don't think I could have made that while walking. Does this game in some way have a run button? I haven't seen it. Was that like a forced fail event where you would never be able to reach it in time no matter what? Okay, looking up in the guide, it said I should have not gone and run in the tent and tried to find the homeless man. I should have instead gone off and found reeds and fireflies before I went into the cutscene. And it says, ignore the phone, you cannot pick it up. So it is indeed a mandatory failed timer thing that it makes you think you failed something, but you haven't. There's nothing you can do, it doesn't affect anything. That's a cruel trick, developers. That's really weird, especially when there's been nothing like that so far. I think a lot of players would get genuinely worried. Okay, I have no idea what to do here. It just like, I don't know, number 3 was in red. I'll take a glass vial. What do I continue? I didn't mean to do that. How can I undo that? Oh, I can't undo that. Okay, I've done a bad thing. Sorry about that. Okay, somehow pulling switch 3 made a cardboard box dematerialize from existence. And there's someone else in the cone we can't read. At least we got to another ominous, slightly scary segment. Maybe something plot relevant will happen. Oh, it's spooky. Ooh, hard. It moved away when you got close to it. Isn't that scary? One of them's probably gonna jump out at me and like I didn't see it, and then it comes back and it's like, I'm genuinely like, when can I stop? Like, when's a good point to stop for this video? Would it have been a while ago? Okay, there's nothing here. Like, I thought maybe I can walk into the ominous section, so this whole room was pointless. So why was that guy there if that room wasn't important? Oh no! I'm not going to be farcical. That is generally an interesting idea that you can hear your footsteps louder when you walk in a certain spot. That's generally a good idea for a spook. Oh, it's a shame it suddenly stopped again though. Okay, basic Korean phrases. So maybe Gemma actually is Korean. That was a Korean outfit she was wearing. My lottery. That's red in the same colour as the switch, so I don't know. Can I use an item? Can I use the wrench? Can I use Glenn the Frog? Okay, yeah, I can't use any items. I can't use the wrench to reach. I can't use any other things I got. Okay, can I move the mop? I can't reach the mop to try. And turning a light on has done nothing. Also weird that the light would suddenly make the room black and white. Can I read anything different now? Yeah, I could already read these. I could already read these when the light was off. So I guess there must be something in the other room. I couldn't see it. Because it said you could mix hydrogen peroxide and something to get rid of rust. So can I now use this? No. Okay, there's a sink I can use in there too. I can't move this. I can't move that. There's nothing here. It says I need to get hydrogen peroxide and something else to remove the rust, but it's not in the set of chemicals. It's not in the cabinet of chemicals. It's not anywhere. Do I have to go all the way back? Ooh, the guy in the bed has vanished now. So maybe I do have to go back because of that. Okay, a cabinet key. I didn't even realize. Okay, so cream of tartar, I need to find hydrogen peroxide. There's nowhere else to go though. If I go back to the vials now, I've got the cream of tartar. Will it say that I can get the hydrogen peroxide? No. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it here. I'm not gonna be able to get any bloody resolution to this sad wife plot. I'm not gonna be able to get through the actual first proper, like, dedicated scary section of the game. Also, Mum has vanished. I didn't even notice because she has so little presence in the damn plot. I'll give it one more try through here. I gotta just say, guys, like, what is the pattern here with how much you tutorialize or don't tutorialize things? It's really weird to start the game with a regular, not really clue-heavy dungeon. Then the second dungeon, every fucking thing is explained to you 5 times. Then the third dungeon is suddenly incredibly hard and no clues at all. Like, that's generally the reason why there's a pacing to this sort of stuff. The player is going to be even more unprepared for the hard dungeon if they do it right after the easiest dungeon. You generally like, here's a tutorial, let me ease the player into figuring things out a little bit more, and then we move on to you're completely on your own. Don't just make them wade in the kiddie pool for 3 hours and then throw them in the deep end. There's a bloody hydrogen peroxide anywhere. I can put a bit. Where is the peroxide thing? Okay, I'm just done with this. Like, there's no item I can use to get the item, and I have sticks, I have an axe, I have a wrench. None of these things are evidently long enough to get to whatever's in the thing. Hey, you want to know what I'm supposed to do according to the guide? I have to fix the sink with the wrench. You know how every single sink we've clicked on in the entire game has said nothing but fill the sink with water? You know what this sink also... This is apparently the sink I'm supposed to fix. It also says exactly the same thing. I have to go into my menu and use the item. No, I can't. How am I supposed to fix this? Do I fill it with water and, like, then... I thought the fill it with water option was, like, a good or a bad choice. Like, of course you don't want to randomly fill up and clog every sink for no reason. Like, that would be a bad thing to do in a hospital. But the only thing I can think of, like, how I would find out this sink needs fixing is, like, oh, you can't tell unless you try and fill it with water and it says no water comes out. Yeah. So you have to manually do a random optional thing you could do on every single sink in the entire game up until now, which served no purpose except to just be mean to people for no reason. You have to do that mandatorily to progress, and there's no indication whatsoever that this one sink is different to every other sink. This difficulty leap is insane! And that's a cabinet key, and you can go back and... Evidently it was just a fucking red herring, that other key directly next to the cabinet in the hole in the floor. You will either get everyone mind-numbingly telling you over and over how to complete a puzzle, or you will get no guidance whatsoever. Also, why was the hydrogen peroxide in the bookshelf? I don't like this game, I don't like this game. I've progressed from just this is boring to I actively don't like this and I don't want to keep playing. I mean, to be fair, I was already saying that before I started the magical section. I was just like, I'll give it a chance. Okay, but this locker was also rusty. I found a bucket. What do I do with the bucket? Can the bucket somehow get the key out of the hole? It wasn't actually looking for something long to reach. Okay, I can't use the bucket, so what is the bucket for? I have to fill the bucket with water. I have to fill the hole with water to make the key float out, which is a bizarre thing to do when you already have multiple long objects to reach the fucking key. Okay, which sink is it even going to allow me to use the water on? Is it the one we already did? I mean, that's jammed and we didn't actually unjam it, we just got the thing out of it. So where's the other one? That's twice it was mandatory to fill up a sink for no reason. A thing that's been nothing but bad in the previous chapter. Okay, wooden gate key. Which does this even open? Where's the wooden gate? That's a metal gate? Is that what it meant? Yes, that is what it meant. Okay, I guess the key is wood and the gate is not wood, but that's weird. Also, a wooden key is even a thing that can actually happen. Can you actually use a wooden key? I've never seen a wooden key. I could not find anything about real working wooden keys from looking it up. I just saw like children's toys, fake wooden keys, and wooden hotel key blocks, which is a totally different thing. The icon was a key, and that like apparently they have infrared sensors in them. So I have no clue what's going on here. Maybe it is something that historically existed and Google is just really shit nowadays so it can't find it. Okay, it would have been funny if I could push the boxes. Okay, where am I going? Where is the thing? Okay, is this gonna like recurringly happen that I can't reach? Like I can't even see a phone on screen. I could have got to me free. Is this gonna be a longer continue? I'm gonna look how long this fucking thing is. Ignore the phone call. Yeah, it's a long series of a lot of other things. Okay, I'm done with this. Yeah, I'm gonna just say it here. This is not worth me continuing to play to see if it got better. This was not worth anything. It is generally only once paid off continuing to play, thinking maybe I'll get better. Eternal Senia just moving up the ranks every single time this happens. Like, wow, there is actually a game that you couldn't immediately think this is rubbish and I don't want to play from the first hour. The only one that actually got better 2 hours in. Sorry if you watched all the way to the end. There's no reward at the end, because I didn't get a reward. I didn't get a good scene. I didn't get any conclusion. Or when's it going to finally get talking about all the sadness of the hospital? Presumably at the end of this spooky set of puzzles here, but I am just tired. I'm just bored out of my mind. I'm just done. I have no energy to continue this. And I still don't care about the protagonist, he's just boy. If you've been watching this and you've been finding the game interesting, definitely go out and play with or watch somebody else's Let's Play of this. For me, this is just like the peak of like interesting idea, terrible execution, and I just can't keep putting up with it for the hope eventually we'll get back to the idea. I miss the idea. I would like to see the idea. Just anything to say, I did go and I did look up the ending for conclusiveness and like, oh, would it actually have been worth to keep playing for the ending? And like, I would say personally no, because the ending is exactly what I expected the ending to be, like from the start of the game. Actually, before the start of the game, from that spoilery loading screen that plays when you load up the game, and from the title of the game, and from, like I've said before, it's a game where you play a kid in the hospital, you know what the ending is going to be. I keep feeling like I need to give it enough of a chance, eventually I'll start liking it. I've seen the whole game, I didn't start liking it. The only thing that really moved me was what went on with Sue's plotline. Again, she was a character she felt really fleshed out. I really loved getting her all the marbles. I looked up and I saw a complete collection of all the marble scenes. Her plotline had some twists I didn't expect. Also, I went back to hating the homeless grandpa again. They say he did a bunch more horrible stuff in the backstory, and I just don't like how they handle a resolution to it. It's like, and then I never went and said sorry to the person I did these things to for all these years, and I've just been going around doing the random chores and tasks for people in the fantasy world to try and atone, rather than the very obvious solution of atoning by saying sorry and making the person's life better, the person whose life you ruined. And they end it with just, he's told you now what he's done, but he's still never going to go back to that person and never going to say sorry and never going to say anything. He just leaves forever. And this is somehow meant to be a resolution, but it's not. It's like, it's quite literally a resolution, like he's not in the story anymore, but that's about it. It makes him feel like a fucking coward that he still, right till the end, ran away from actually making things better. So at least he progressed to me disliking him for a different reason than at the start. He's not an evil man, he's a redeemable man who just chose to not take the path of redemption, yet the game acts as if he was indeed redeemed. It's really frustrating. But a lot of stuff that happened with Sue, there's a whole cutscene sequence of the sad thing that happened with Sue, very moving. Very good, very sad. That was it. There's also like 3 other jokes about, oh, this guy is fatter than the average for his species because he eats a lot of food. I don't know why this keeps happening, I don't know why there's so many characters like that, and I regret how much time I've spent on this game, and I still don't understand why people like it. I don't think I ever will. But I liked one scene, it was worth it for that. Oh, and one particular moment I really disliked is, apparently there's a puzzle that requires you knowing American date order and putting together like an anagram to figure out a date from it and then rearranging it into that order. And it just struck me as really weird when the people in this game are supposed to be Japanese. Japan doesn't use American date order. It was really unintuitive, and I think that would have been the moment where I would have got stopped halfway through this dungeon, the hardest dungeon, because I'm just too British. And that would have been fun for you guys to watch, but not for me to play. Oh, and I did feel validated that the Let's Player did say this is the hardest dungeon in the game. Don't know why they would pace it here as the 3rd one. And also apparently even people who like this game say the gameplay is kind of naff and they mostly just like the story. The Let's Play I'm watching is the one I briefly mentioned earlier in the video by Really Queer Christmas. It's a very great Let's Play. It's partially screenshot, partially video. It shows all the wonderful music in the game. It's got some information on cut content in the development. Wonderful job. You'd enjoy that more than watching my videos. Oh my god, guys, I shit you not. When I looked up and watched the ending, the post-ending credits, like after the big fucking sad goodbye, it shows all the magical people in all the Leeble worlds, and they have a funny joke about the really fat Leeble falls down, he's so fat he shakes the earth like an earthquake, and this is happening after multiple people died. That's the emotional ending that everyone says the game is so great about. They have that tonal whiplash in that. Like, it did make me tear up for a bit. It is very simple and very exactly what you'd expect. There's not really any creative or unusual dialogue or unique personality expressing it. It is just, now it is my time to go. Oh, my little one, you're my hero. I love you so much. I love you too, Mum. Now you have to live on. And that's it. It's really short, actually. There's not a lot of dialogue in it, but it's got a moving song, and I was like, oh, maybe this is okay. And then this fat joke, just a big montage of all the random funny characters having random funny times after everyone died, and fat joke. Generally, does this game have a sense of tact? Does it have an idea of when things should be paced and why? I think that moment alone has made me really justified in not playing the rest of the game. I think if I had got to that point legitimately after getting myself so worked, after going through so much boring shit to get to that ending, and then I just got like a really short ending and then a really out of place joke in the credits sequence, I would have felt really pissed off. Like, genuinely, like, this isn't respecting the heaviness of the moment. Oh, it's respecting the heaviness of the moment. Ha 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 fucking ha. But yeah, I don't get why this has so much glowing praise from Are we really just rating the game high for the concept alone? Like, are we giving it points for effort, points for the heart that went into it? Because I can appreciate what they tried to do, they just didn't do it. And I was waiting for so long for it to finally start doing it. To finally get any feelings about this child. And it's not hard to make someone sad about a dying child. I'm not sure how they managed to fail to do that. Oof. I wish I hadn't looked up the ending. I feel worse seeing that the ending was indeed actually bad. Maybe it is rated so high because it does have a really good ending. Maybe all the rest being bad is made up for by having a really good ending. And it's just a really typical ending. And it's like 1 minute. And then a long credit scroll of all the guys I don't care about from Shitty Fantasy World and funny jokes. Like, I've disliked other games from Marvel, but this is the first game I feel bad. Like, I feel like a morally bad person for disliking it. I feel heartless. Like, why can I not feel anything about this? Why do I think it's bad? It's doing things when I'm making it hard to feel the intended emotion, when apparently everyone else thinks it's so moving? It's not hard to make me cry about a video game. I've cried about much less serious plots like this. I'm not trying to dislike the game. I tried to give it as much of a chance as I possibly could. I've cried about, like, just hearing the music from a scene I felt was sad. I cried about my monsters dying in Monster Rancher. I cried about the ending of Persona 5, like, vanilla version, where nothing sad even happens. I cried about super magic, giant, tall Satan shooting the final boss through the head, and you see the sunset through the hole in the head, and you go, wow, we've really saved the world. I cried about that just because I cared about the characters so much, and I was so happy that they saved the world. And the music was very good. This little bit here, it plays for like less than 5 seconds of the game. This little riff, when you go into your menu and you see the only option left for you is the one move that'll save the day and save all your friends, and you've got a big, cool, amazing, unique animation you've never seen before going on, with this song replaying a leitmotif from earlier in the game, but like a rock version, and just me going, that's a really good way of delivering an emotional moment in a game, integrating the gameplay and the soundtrack and the story and the visuals all together. Just me thinking, this game is very good, made me cry. I cry about fucking everything. And how does this game not hit me that way? And I really hope that everyone else out there, I hope you all disagree with me. I hope that everyone else out there can get something from this game that I couldn't. Okay, phew, I was able to at least end on something mildly positive. One thing I like. After I just paused watching the credits, because I was rage quitting the bloody credits on that stupid ass joke, I went back and watched the end of it. After you get through all the boring fantasy montage, at the very end it shows spoiler characters and things happening, and in the end they push out a little origami boat to sea in memory of the boy. And I thought that was a nice bit of imagery, like matching the hat. Like, that was one of the first things I said at the start of the game. Like, oh, is he wearing an origami boat for a hat? And I think that is a very nice piece of imagery to end the game on. It is a shame that the rest of the ending leading up to it didn't do that for me. There's one thing that made me actually have an emotional reaction at the very last second, and I've really been scraping to have good things to say about the game. I wanted to like the game. A lot of times I was like, this NPC kind of looks good, this joke was funny until they kept going and then it stopped being funny, and finally I've said I can wholeheartedly say I don't have to like lie by omission, like, oh, well, technically, maybe it's not the worst, it's just actually good. And now I'm going to put this down, and I'm going to, I feel like I want to cry because of how much I couldn't cry, if that makes any sense. Sorry I kept rambling on after it's already over, but I've been like, what is possibly an interesting thing I can say to make this video actually worth it? And I've just run out of ideas, I'm sorry. I am going to have a very big sleep.